They left their story on the rocks. They left their granary, even their pots, weapons, and icons of their culture. And yet it is up to you to join the hundreds of thousands of archaeologists, students, and visitors before you to unravel the mystery of just exactly who the Fremont Indians were and why they left the land you are standing on today. Your clues to the mystery will be in the rock art, in what you see in the museum, invisible while you enjoy some of the most unusual, beautiful, and peaceful land around. As you camp, fish, hike, ride your ATV, try your hand at crafts that go back nearly 2,000 years, or throw a spear called an addle-addle, just as others did long ago. This will be one visit or an entire vacation you will never forget. Welcome to Fremont Indian State Park and Museum. To help you in your adventurous mystery solving, we will give you the clues we do believe. We believe the Fremont people came here about the year 300. We think they were here nearly 1,000 years, leaving about the year 1300. How this canyon became such an important home is also open to many thoughts. There were probably people here before the more permanent settlements, and the stories you see on the rock walls. In fact, artifacts dating back to 10,000 years ago have been found here. The early inhabitants were hunters and gatherers who chased after the plentiful game. What changed? What made the canyon before you a more permanent dwelling place for 1,000 years? There is a chance the nearby Anasazi people might have been an influence. The Anasazi had mastered pottery and the storing of corn. Thus, one could have food all year and live in one place. But we do know the Fremont were different from the Anasazi. The Fremont artifacts in the museum here are not Anasazi. Yes, it all adds to the mystery. In 1928, the Peabody Museum sent a young archaeologist, Noel Morse, to find out new facts about the old cultures in the West. He found unique artifacts similar to what you see here at the museum. He would give the creators of these amazing pieces a modern name.
So they sent this kid in charge of an expedition and saw this culture, which had a very distinctive form of rock art, a distinctive form of basketry, a distinctive form of these unfired clay figurines, and he named it the Fremont culture because of the river that ran down through the center of his survey area.
Yes, the Fremont Indians were named after the Fremont River, which was in turn named after the famous explorer John C. Fremont. And just as we're not totally sure how the Fremont people started here, we also are not positive what happened to them later. Why did they leave this canyon after 1,000 years? Was it a drought, disease, or maybe a war with others? Some say they are ancestors of the modern-day Paiutes or maybe the Hopi Indians. Our goal in the park is to save and display the artifacts of these people and to educate you about how they lived, as well as show you the many activities of this beautiful treasure of Utah. It is a treasure that started with a remarkable archaeology dig near the park entrance. In 1983, crews were building Interstate 70 through what we call this place Clear Creek Canyon. Scholars knew that there were some artifacts here and there, but locals knew there were far more historical treasures on the hill called Five Finger Ridge. No one knew just how much was here. Archaeologists swarmed in to discover the largest Fremont village in Utah. They conducted an extensive study and dig before the highway crews would eliminate a large portion of Five Finger Ridge. Even as crews were building the interstate around them, archaeologists and volunteers were working long hours to carefully remove as many artifacts as possible. This one hill is all that's left of Five Finger Ridge. Now you might be wondering at this point, why didn't the highway department just go around Five Finger Ridge? Well, there are several reasons. One reason was that the laws concerning historical artifacts were not as strong as they are today. Another was the location. There are cliffs on both sides of the ridge, and yet another reason was that they simply needed the dirt.
The hill that the biggest site in Clear Creek, Five Finger Ridge, was located on top of, had actually been set aside to be used as the fill underneath the freeway. And I believe that all the contracts were based on being able to mine that hill in order to get the material that was needed to even out the floor before they put the pavement on top of it. And so they had to dig it.
However, some good did come from losing much of Five Finger Ridge. The museum that you're now visiting was created to show the artifacts of the remarkable Fremont people. With each new find, a little more about the Fremont became known. Even the archaeologists were astounded at the scale of what was a Fremont village of 300 people, and the beauty and significance of every artifact, each a piece of a puzzle depicting an amazing culture. At this point, all agreed that what started as a dig needed to end up as a place to educate, preserve, and appreciate the magnificence of the Fremont people. The Paiute and Hopi Indians, the archaeologists, and the local people made sure the artifacts would be kept here, where you could see them under the same sky and near the same rocks that the Fremont saw.
It was important that it stayed with the people to where it came from. We didn't want to lose it to the shelves of another university.
Former Governor Scott Matheson agreed, and within 2 years, the state of Utah created Fremont Indian State Park, and a short 2 years later, in 1987, the Visitor Center and Museum was dedicated. The park answered the demand to see the spectacular pieces of history and learn what we could about this fascinating people and their culture. And so you can see more clues that we found in the extensive scientific digs. And you could see what gave us new insights, as well as solidified what we thought before about these unknown but amazing people. The Fremont wore clothing from the skins of animals and juniper bark. They lived in pit houses that were built with a circular hole foundation. We recreated one for you, as well as placed a smaller replica in the museum. You can imagine you are watching a family use a shaped stone tool called a mano to crush and grind corn in the groove of a larger stone called a metate. We know corn was vital to their diet. Excess corn was stored in elaborate granaries. Some scientists theorize that they are in remote areas away from thieves who desired the bountiful harvest. There is an amazingly intact granary in the park, nearly hidden from view. Yes, was this a safe place from enemies? Or was it a place to offer corn to the gods? They no doubt cooked the valuable corn as cornmeal mush, or maybe they were early bakers of bread and tortillas. We do see that they did the cooking over a fire that, at least in the colder months, constantly burned in the center of the home. The smoke escaped through the central opening of the pit house. That was also where the family would come and go to hunts, to join others in building dwellings, to assemble their weapons, to make their clothes and their detailed jewelry, and sometimes they left home to play games. At least that's what the modern Paiutes tell us, as some of these Fremont artifacts look like gaming pieces used by the Paiutes. And they left their homes to tell their story in the exquisite rock art. Yes, we know from all of this that the Fremont did not spend all their time working in the home.
The rock art is absolutely phenomenal. So they obviously had time away from sort of the strict day-to-day seeking of food. Whether that should be best thought of as leisure, or whether it's best thought of how you can present yourself is a different question. But they had some beautiful, beautiful artwork.
And none is more amazing than the rock art stories. Some say you should read the rocks from top to bottom, or maybe the story starts on another canyon wall.
You're not going to always find a panel on a piece of rock and that's the end of the story. But it's an all-encompassing study, and it's an all-encompassing thing to see rock writing. You have to take it all in because parts of it is all connected, even if it's across the canyon.
Even the famous among Fremont archaeology experts know it's an educated guess as to what this all means. And you know what? Your opinion might be the correct one. It's why we all stop to look at these.
Everyone likes rock art. Everyone has an opinion about what rock art is telling them. If you have 10 people and you point to a specific piece of rock art and ask them what they think it means, you'll get 10 answers, and no one really knows.
You might see a report of a battle or a hunt. And keep in mind, you will see animals depicted here such as sheep. Here is another mystery. This is not a canyon known to have had sheep during the Fremont years. Yes, what are these chapters of the Fremont people? What are the stories of the 3,700 figures that make up the 677 rock art panels? Now the mystery deepens further. For why did the ancient storytellers use different means to tell their stories? Why are some made by carefully chiseling a series of dots in a rock to form a picture? If it was because they wanted to make sure the art became permanent, then they succeeded. The chiseled art consisting of breaking out chips of rock is called a petroglyph. Others left their stories by painting their art onto the abundant flat surfaces. We call these ancient pieces of rock art paintings pictographs. Now on a few pieces they combined the art to be both carved and painted. They are called pictoglyphs. You will have to look a little harder to find these. There are only 9 that we know of in the entire state of Utah. You are lucky, for you're in the place where 7 of those rare images can be found. So look around you at the spirals, at geometric shapes, and think about the people that stared at these rocks 1,000 years ago, as you are staring at them today. In between the time you picnic, camp, play, fish, and everything else we have for you to enjoy in this multi-use land, we invite you to hike to the rock art. And we know you will want to take lots of pictures. A hint here, wait until the sun is low in the sky or that you're here on a cloudy day. Oh, does the art stand out in those conditions? We have nearly 20 trails, all at different levels of ability, as we know almost everyone wants to see the art. Those of us who know and love the park say that every hiker might try what we call the Parade of Rock Art Trail. We made it the easiest trail for that reason. Just go past the flagpole in the parking lot. We paved that trail and made it as easy as we could and tell you it's about a quarter-mile long. Look across the parking lot at Reed Rock. Our Hopi friends say it may represent part of the Fremont creation story. There is another petroglyph in the shape of a vertical line. Is that a reed? The Hopi tradition is that their ancestors came into this world from the underworld inside a large river reed. Does the wavy line above the reed depict the separation of the upper world from the underworld? There are other clues to this mystery. Look at Shrike Rock along the Parade of Rock Art Trail. The modern-day Paiutes say this could represent the bird that led their ancestors to the upper world. Some scholars also point to this petroglyph as a story of creation. A giant is carrying a basket full of people on his head over what could be an ocean. Why they came here, why they left, and why they gave us these puzzles, perhaps it's all on these rocks. And of course, there are lots more examples of animals in the art. And could this be a map? What do you think? We do want to tell you of some sadness. You will see that not all come here to enjoy the rock art, or to learn the stories, or to figure out the mysteries. Some have defaced these magnificent treasures. This is against both federal and state law. The vandals will be held accountable for senseless destruction of the rock art and artifacts. because this is sacred ground, because this is to be shared by all, and because it is our responsibility to preserve the land of those who came before us. Also, even well-meaning folks will be surprised that by merely touching these very old art pieces, they can damage them because of the oil in your skin. So leave the rock art for generations to come, just as the Fremont Indians did. By all means, take lots of memories and take lots of pictures, and ask our friendly Visitor Center staff questions about the art in your pictures, and share them with other visitors. They make great conversations in the campground, and some families and groups say it's even more fun to have lots of opinions about the rock art at our large group camping sites. Oh, there are wonderful discussions among school groups. We love to have children visit the park, and we have lots for kids to do. We'll get back to that in a moment. But first, back to our trails. Many also love our Court of Ceremonies trail. This trail will get a little steeper than did our walk on the Parade of Rock Art trail. But we do want to show you the reproduction of the pit house and the granary that is on this particular trail. The pit house and granary can also be reached by merely going to the corner of the parking lot at the Visitor Center. This makes them available to practically every visitor. You can see what it was like to live as the Fremont lived. We love to see folks visit in the cooler weather of spring and fall, or even in the dead of winter. Imagine how the Fremont Indians spent their winters in this canyon. And you can imagine it in every season, for unlike some parks, this park is open all year long, and it provides lots of different adventure opportunities in each season. Our park staff will help match you up with a trail and activity that best suits you and offer new experiences. One meaningful short hike near the pit house takes you to the Meditation Labyrinth. It's a place to think about all who have been here before you visited today, and to bring your mind and body into balance. For the very adventurous, they may give you permission to hike the rim trail. Hikers do need official permission to hike the rim trail. It is very steep and slippery. If that isn't a trail you think fits into your visit, watch. We will show you some of the fascinating parts of the rim trail. You will see the stories of the hunt, the stories of life, and maybe even the ancient writers' news accounts of the day. After all, we call this newspaper rock. It has nearly 1,000 petroglyphs, just about every kind of art you can imagine. The mysterious spirals, circles, humans and animals, and something else. It has the newest petroglyphs. A Paiute Indian named Huntcuff left a story that is unlike any other story of the rocks. If you didn't know it was done in the 1870s, you would have really been mystified, for it is the story of a train trip he took to Chicago. Again, you need permission and the ability to climb steep trails to see this. But you can go just past the entrance road and take your binoculars or a good telephoto camera lens and see where Huntcuff did his work, as well as see newspaper rock.
Not just any rock, I mean a special rock.
Of course, you will hear about more and more of the rock art during our famous story times, and as you listen to others as they picnic. There are plenty of places to picnic, such as the Centennial Picnic Grounds. Share what you think is being told in the art. Another good place to picnic is near the Visitor Center. That gives you a place to park your ATV while you eat. You will need to rest now and then, as this is the start of 1,000 miles of ATV trails. You will see vistas, mountains, and beauty among the pinyon pines and junipers. Be prepared to extend your visit to the park. People often do. Oh, and we promise to tell you more family activities you can do, things the kids will love. And also, when we say families, of course, the family dog is welcome too. It is a perfect place to try geocaching. After all, the treasure hunt has been going on for thousands of years. you will discover a new world among the old rocks. Of course, families love camping, and you can make your own souvenirs of a wonderful vacation. During special events, and on other occasions, craft activities are available for kids. And helping with activities is just one of the places we appreciate having our volunteers. The park welcomes, needs, and loves volunteers to help share teaching activities, plus to tell stories of history and intrigue. Our volunteers are essential to our success. Summertime pottery classes are a perfect family activity for adults and older kids. You learn the art of making pots, not just decorative art, but one of the most important items in a Fremont home. And another one of the mysteries of the Fremont. Why did they spend so much time decorating the pottery that was just used for cooking?
What is the purpose of painted pottery? It doesn't cook food any better, it doesn't store corn any better, but it shows often doubling, tripling the amount of investment in its production. Maybe an innate capability or capacity in humans to appreciate those types of things. It may be trying to impress your neighbor or your girlfriend. We don't know.
So take pleasure in land that has been enjoyed for centuries and respect a culture that made this home.
They were stewards. They were. They're just so completely capable of taking care of what the Creator gave them. They knew how to work with nature, not against it.
And we often recommend you end up here, where you started in the Visitor Center. Take a closer look at the artifacts and the authentic reproductions of clothing, as well as the display of Five Finger Ridge. And this is a good time to visit the gift shop to purchase those educational materials and souvenirs. As now you know a little more about the mystery of the canyon and a remarkable culture, and take your guess as to what might have happened to these great people. Experts certainly have good guesses, but indeed that's what they are, guesses.
What happened to the Fremont also happened to this entire southwestern sphere. Slightly different times, but by and large, beginning about 1350 to 1400, farmers quit farming. I think a lot of them switched over to going back to being simple hunter-gatherers. And if you're a hunter-gatherer in this part of the country, it means you become much more mobile.
Maybe the answer is right here, somewhere in the rocks. That quest for answers, that quest for family activities, and that quest for taking in this unusual beauty brings thousands back here. Welcome to Fremont Indian State Park.